What's up guys, it's Unders and we are just having a little look at the Hammond B3 plugin from the guys over at IK Multimedia, and just going through it, using it, really enjoying the plugin. But there's a couple of things that I thought, you know what, this is going to give some people hang-ups, especially in something like FL Studio. And I thought I'd just show some breakdowns and useful info around using this plugin. So hopefully this video is going to be helpful for you and you learn a little something and get the most out of your Hammond plugin this way. Essentially, I've got a beat idea loaded up in FL Studio and I've got my Hammond up and I've got really simply some chords going. So just this vibe here. Yeah, we heard it at the start of the video. However, you know, this is just using the upper tier here of the keys. It's this here. And hopefully you've figured out so far that the lower octave are the key changes, right? So you can change the different performance types really simply. Right? However, no matter what we do on the piano roll, we're always going to be playing those key changes or playing in that top octave, right? In that top keyboard. And the reason being, this takes multiple MIDI inputs. Like you'd need to have a split controller to play the whole thing all in once and get the performance out of it you'd be expecting. So just for argument's sake, let's say in this one piano roll, I want to use this top melody and I don't know, maybe make a bass line out of the bottom. Completely plausible. The way we would do that in FL, we need to just jump into the piano roll here, is right up here in this top left corner where this is bright green, where I usually go for my slide notes and the portamento notes. Believe it or not, it's actually a MIDI output as well. If I click on the color, I can quite simply drop that to MIDI 2. I'm now going to be playing that second keyboard iteration. And let's just try and make a melody real quick with that second option. So our lowest note here is going to be what, E3. So let's do that. Or we could even like copy out the chords or put a melody perhaps within here. So we could perhaps go something like, so we could actually have the second chord like this. So on that second tier of the Hammond, you can see it play, right? Cool, and that's really simply what we can do there. If we go into the settings, you can see here we've got the upper and the lower, and they're set to separate MIDI channels. We've actually got the pedal section on channel 3 as well. If you actually wanted to configure a lot of the CC controls, they're all in here as well. You can link various things to different MIDI CCs for performance. So that's one simple thing we can look at. The other thing is like, how does the Hammond really work? How do you program it in yourself? So let's have a quick look at that. Let's put this back onto channel 1. Take all these sliders at the top here and just put them to 0. And just a really cool thing to note, at the minute you're kind of working on a relatively small GUI. You can completely resize it. However, there's also this option built in, controls in the bottom left. It gives you all the controls on that screen just in one simple interface, right? So we could just do something like that. So now if we play something, cool, we've not really got anything going on. However, we have actually got a bunch of configurations here. What's being played out of the organ? We've got the upper, the pedals, and the lower. So this is going to be uppers, right? Hear that being pushed out. If we were to bring a lower in and maybe just have something like this in. Oh look, nothing's happening because this is being triggered on the upper scale, right? So these are how they're split. They're split to those two separate ones. If I bring this in, it's always going to work on MIDI channel 1. I can dial it in to be whatever I want. If we then look at how they're actually broken down, think of it left to right, much like on an EQ, lower frequency, high frequency. And then simply how much you slide it down is how much of that's going to be brought in. Different blends give different feels. Simple as that. It's like bringing extra harmonics into a synth or extra or more complex waveform. Now, what's going on up here? These are snapshots saved based on what you've done. So I had one where I put everything away. That's there. Snapshot here of all these out. Let's go back to this first one. If I put one away, it represents it in the snapshot. And remember, we've got those quick change keys at the bottom here, so we can change between all of those. Right, so once we've made something that we like, and let's have some sub in here. Bunch of other things we can do. So this little cross up in the top right hand corner gets out of the controls. This is only one of many pages in this plugin. It's incredibly deep for what it is. We've also got the stuntbox pages, right? So we've got loads of distortions and kind of that church vibe, you know, the ghetto rigged session that we can make out of it to get loads of feel, especially at this chorus. So we stamp on the chorus here. Mad feel for that. So if we bring the control right down, maybe chorus intensity right down and depth right down, a really nice feel to it. This EQ here as well has got loads of flavor, even if you have it enabled, but nothing really going on. We could then use this pedal and add a bit of drive and distortion. However, I personally don't feel that too much. The wah pedal is quite cool. You have to click and drag, so we'd be adding automation in for that, really. Remember, in the settings before, we could link a MIDI CC to that, so you could link something like your modulation wheel on your keyboard to perform it that way. The section I personally like the most at the minute is the cabs, and just simply taking mute off is going to enable it, and it gives it such a vibe right out the gate. And you can switch between different cab types because IK Multimedia plugin, they've got amplitude, you've got the ability to integrate all of these straight away, and they're superb sounding cabs that can all be custom dialed in. Then we can actually switch the cabs out as well. So you can go to like the Leslie and you've got the EQ for the Leslie as well, or the Leslie amp itself. And that's actually integrated into the front of the plugin in the fact we've got the brake, so we can stop it, or we can switch it between slow and fast like you would be able to naturally on something that's like you would be able to on a Hammond that was linked up to a Leslie cabinet. But in this case, we've got all the parameters that we can dive into. If you really want to break down this cabinet, I did a whole breakdown video on how it works, why it works, and how the effects and everything break down for it in a separate plugin video that I'll link now or in the description below. And then we've also got the mixer to blend all of this together and give our vibe to it. And just to top it off, we've got post effects as well. So we've actually got a really nice 76 limiter built in, a quite obvious Neve EQ built in there as well, and a reverb unit, all super useful for things that can give a really nice vibe and let us dial this plugin in so it sounds mint without having to do any actual processing after the plugin. This is the equivalent of using the IK Multimedia plugins, which was some of the highest performing plugins out there anyway. And the fact we've got nice vintage emulations is just a bonus. So guys, that was a little breakdown of how the Hammond plugin works inside something like FL Studio and how you can use that second tier and program it and set up your key switches. I hope the video was helpful for you. I hope you get the most out of using your Hammond B3 emulation from IK Multimedia. Thank you very much for watching the video, guys, and I will see you on the next one.